All right, welcome back. I've got a Blu Ray update. First up is a Giallo by Aldo Lado. Who Saw Her Die? Interesting film. Um, yeah, I think it falls a little short. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It starts to touch on religious elements and basically you've got a giallo. It's a straight up giallo with a priest killer, but I think the film, particularly how they ended it, kind of deflated the proceedings before it. I don't want to get into some too much details about the ending, but I think it was the build up and who was doing the killing and why they were doing the killing was a la Norman Bates and Psycho, but they just kind of threw that out the window with some really bad dialogue that was tossed in at the end. But overall, I give it a 6 out of 10. This Arrow release has an audio commentary and basically some featurettes and a booklet, which is pretty typical of Arrow with their releases. Next up is another Aldo Lado film. This is Short Night of Glass Dolls. Now this is really an intriguing film. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Basically, you've got a guy that's been he's cathartic. I mean, he's alive, but people think he's dead. So his story portrays him trapped in his own body, trying to explain what happened to him as they wheel him around the morgue and those type of things. Basically, you've got a cult. You've got a satanic cult, or the Illuminati, if you will, that is behind all this. Really, really good film. It was shot in Prague, and the sets are great on it. You got a little booklet. This is actually a tough Blu-ray to get a hold of. This is a Twilight Time limited edition. It didn't cost too much. The price had come down. It's also got an audio commentary with David Duval, so I definitely think this is worth picking up. Next up is Umberto Lenzi's The Tough Ones, police gangster film from Italy with Tomas Milan. Man, it was great stuff. This is a fantastic release from Grindhouse. I'm telling you, if you get this, set aside a few days to go through this. This thing is jam-packed with extras. There's a 90-minute film, basically, interview with Thomas Milan. There's an hour-long Umberto Lenzi interview. And there's endless 30 to 40-minute interviews with everybody that was around the film and surrounded with the film. The screenwriter, the costume person. I mean, it's just an endless parade of special features and extras. There's so many extras on this that it's got its own extras, has its own disc. What a great release. And you've got the soundtrack as well. And there's a bunch of Easter eggs on this thing. Great release. Next up, let's see, what have I got here? I guess we'll do this Paganini Horror, 1989. Daria Nicolodi stars as this woman that's you basically, this is a rock group that's occupying a haunted house. It's a bizarre, beautiful sets, beautiful colors. I mean, it's a very bizarre film, very off-putting. But basically, it's a haunted house piece. I mean, that's what it is when you boil it down. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Dario Nicolodi was pretty good in it. I think this is not This is, it does have an interview with director Luigi Cosi and an interview with actor Grimaldi and a deleted scenes and an alternate ending. Next up, we've got Killer Crocodile. 1989's Killer Crocodile. Fabrizio De Angelis. I love this film. This is right up my alley. I love nature run amok movies, and this was a fantastic movie. I mean, it's cheesy. It's an Italian ripoff of Jaws. It's just got a crocodile. And they basically shot this one and Killer Crocodile 2 back to back to save money on the investment in the location and, of course, the build of the crocodile. The second one's not as good. The second was directed by the guy that created the crocodile, and it was kind of just a throw together. But all in all, these are great fun. A great double feature. The first one clearly is the best of the two. And you've got on here a number of interviews. Both films have a number of interviews with the director and, of course, the creator of the crocodile. The guy that did Croc 2, the guy that created the special effects for the crocodile and directed part 2 was Giannato De Rossi. All right. Let's see what we got here. Bailiff, 1972's Bailiff, directed by Leopoldi Savoni. He usually does spaghetti westerns, but this is basically a gothic incest film with a brother and sister that the brother's so obsessed with his sister that and he can't satisfy his urges, so he's killing all the women around him until he can finally have relations with the sister. It's actually pretty tame. I mean, that sounds like it's going to be off the wall, badass off the wall, but it's really, I mean, you've got a lot of sex scenes that are kind of tossed in here, and the kills are okay. I mean, but basically it's a very talky, slow film with a very, I mean, the plot and the idea of it had a lot of promise, but I think the execution, they kind of failed on the execution. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And as far as special features, there really are none. It was just the film itself. Next up, we've got Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory. This one, 1961 Paulo Hush, who is probably better known for the Chihuahua, which is a film about a guy that tried to escape the CIA in Bolivia. That's a really good film. This is his only horror outing, and it's set. It's got a very gothic atmosphere, set in a girls' school, and one of the professors is basically the werewolf, transforming into the werewolf and killing off these girls. It's got some great moments, I think, and I thought it's a little talky as well, but you know, for the time. In the early 60s, it's a black and white, moody, atmospheric film, and I thought it was very good. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. It does have a commentary with David Duval, and then an interview with the screenwriter, and an alternate ending. Next up is a film that, for some reason, I never did pick this up, The Angry Red Planet. The price had dropped on it enough. It's a Scream Factory release. Really cheesy, bad film. I mean, basically you've got a trip to Mars that's all done through filters. You know, they're trying to set I mean, it was micro budget. And so everything is shot in these red filters with really cheesy kind of monsters. You can see one of the monsters right there. It's a decent one-time watch. It's not something I would go back to but it's something I didn't have it in my collection, so I thought, well, let me go ahead and pick it up. Next up is Karen Black in Mirror Mirror. Of course, this set off a number of sequels, but it's a relatively tame film as well. This girl that's being picked on at school discovers that she can have powers by the use of this mirror and supernatural powers. Karen Black was basically the star of the film. I give this one a 6 out of 10 too. A lot of 6 out of 10s on this one, which is not bad. I mean, it's not like they're horrible. It's just. And then final, the wrap up is Dario Argento's Wax Mask. And this is a Severin release. And I believe this was a 1990 shot on direct-to-video type film. It certainly looks like it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. It was basically a retelling of The Phantom of the Opera. But obviously I think some of the Phantom of the Opera films have been done better than this. But I think the special effects were kind of cheesy. It does have a load of commentary. It's got an audio commentary track, interviews, a slew of interviews. It is a really nice loaded release. Blu-ray. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo. So yeah, that's Wax Mask. I'm trying to remember what I gave that. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's a 1996 film. I thought it was 1990. 1996. Sergio Stivoletti directed it. Yeah, I mean it was okay. I thought the mask, the makeup stuff for the killer looked good, but you know, it had a direct-to-video kind of feel to it, so a little bit artificial in the way it looked. All right, well, that's going to do it for this update. Let me know if you have any of those titles and what your opinion is of them in the comments below. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.